people think, and I've had friends tell me this, when I think of a lawyer, I know I immediately think trouble, right? And that's not true. I think what we help people understand is that any possible thing that we can do to kind of get you back on track or to make this just but a speed bump in your otherwise wonderful professional career, whatever, we can do that, and we will do that.
Welcome to the McKinney Podcast, the show that celebrates what makes McKinney unique by nature. This podcast exists to spotlight the people, the organizations, and the events that shape our great city. You can count on every episode to tell a compelling story and help increase your awareness and perspective on what's happening around McKinney. Your hosts for this fun-filled adventure are Fred Mahusay, owner of FredShots Photography, and James Jenkins, CEO of RiskWell. Connect with us on YouTube and on our website, McKinneyPodcast.com. Now, let's get into it.
Welcome back to another edition of the McKinney Podcast, where we celebrate what makes us unique by nature. I'm your solo host for today, Fred, and normally James is right here. However, as we are both business owners and sometimes things will happen, during our last podcast session, I noticed James's phone all of a sudden was lighting up, and he was doing a lot of off-camera finger dance there, and so he had to step out to manage something that needed his immediate attention. So that means that, what you've got? You got Freddie Boy, open mic, no accountability. But thankfully, today's guest, this episode's guest, will help to keep us, within the lanes. And so today, joining us with the Texas defense firm, we have Gonzalo Serrano.
That is correct.
All right. Did I get that close?
That is correct. Gonzalo Serrano. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So Texas defense firm, man, that sounds just like an amazing, intimidating name right off the bat. Give us the treetops of why we need the Texas defense firm.
Well, I'll tell you, Texas defense firm we're here in McKinney. It is a group of lawyers that really is, we have people that are leaders in all aspects of criminal defense law throughout the state of Texas. We have attorneys that have tried cases at all levels, attorneys who have decades of experience, both as criminal defense attorneys and some experience like myself with prosecution. We are a firm that I think really values relationships with our clients. We are a firm that puts our clients first. We are a firm that believes that every one of our clients is the most important client to us. We don't just say that. I think, the numerous reviews, the feedback that we get kind of attest to that. Our leaders, Jeremy Rosenthal, Bo Calabas, and Kyle Tarian are true leaders in the community, both in McKinney, in North Texas, and in the legal community throughout the state. So that's who we are. I mean, it sounds like a tough place because we really are. We're a good group of attorneys that really care about our clients.
How about that? Okay, so we'll get to more about the firm there, but for you, Gonzalo, when your feet first touched soil on the face of the earth, where was that?
Well, I was born in a central state of Mexico, Guanajuato.
Guanajuato. Yes, I've been there. It's a stop on a cruise ship.
Yeah, beautiful, very historic. Has some of the most gorgeous, old colonial locations, like the city of Guanajuato, San Miguel de Allende, which is a huge tourist place.
Mm-hmm.
I was born there in 1985. I'm the oldest of 5 children.
Mm-hmm.
My parents brought myself and 3 siblings to the U.S. We came undocumented. We migrated to the United States without documentation. My dad had been here for a few years. He was a legal permanent resident. He'd been all over the country. He'd worked in Alaska at the Exxon Valdez oil spill. He worked in California. Somehow ended up in this very rural area at the time.
Like what year was that?
This was, so my dad, I guess, would have been here 89,
mm-hmm.
89.
Mm-hmm.
we have an uncle. I have an uncle, my dad's brother, who was here prior to that and kind of pulled my dad in. My dad's the youngest of 16 kids. So he was out, finding work all over the country, finally landed here. Met a gentleman, the Barrow family, a long time ago who helped my dad, give him work, eventually sold him his first house. So my dad brought us over, and very first place that I lived in was, I guess near, we call it East McKinney, I guess east of 75, on Jefferson Street. My uncle lived there, welcomed us in, gave us a roof until we got on our feet. And I've been in McKinney ever since, with a little bit of, college and law school and some work.
Mm-hmm.
But our home has been McKinney, my home specifically, since January of 1990.
Mm-hmm.
1990. Yep.
How about that?
Yep.
And so, I heard you when before we came in that you went to UT.
I went to UT.
Okay. And that was for undergraduate or graduate?
So law school.
Law school. Okay. All righty. And then, so where you lived in McKinney? So which high school did you graduate from?
So I'll give you kind of my academic history, right? So when I moved to McKinney, Finch Elementary School had the only, back then it was bilingual program.
Sure.
A lot smaller district than it is today. So I went to Finch Elementary for the second part of kindergarten, which I got here halfway through the year. First grade and second grade. And then Glen Oaks was the new school over here in El Dorado, Stonebridge, I guess. And then, so they moved some of the ESL kids, English second language kids, over here. And I was one of them. So I went to third grade at Glen Oaks, and then eventually graduated out of the ESL program, meaning I learned enough English to kind of function in all English class. They kept me at ESL in Glen Oaks through fourth grade. But by then, we'd already had our house in downtown McKinney on Barn Street, which is right next to Caldwell Elementary. So for fifth grade, I went to Caldwell Elementary. When I went to middle school, there was only two middle schools. It was Dow Middle School and Fabian Middle School. And I happened to have been zoned for Dow. So I went 6th, 7th, and 8th grade to Dow. And when I went to high school, there was only one high school, which is McKinney High.
Yep.
McKinney North opened up at the beginning of my junior year. And it was weird because they had school there, but their athletes were – I played soccer in high school. Their athletes were still being shipped over to McKinney High and participated with us at McKinney High. So I graduated McKinney High in 2003.
How about that? So you are a product of the McKinney ISD.
I am a proud product of the McKinney.
How about that?
I've been an advocate for it. I have two children. One of them is a McKinney ISD. The other one's too little. She's a preschool. But my son is a third grader at Caldwell Dual Academy, which is where I went. It was a Dual Academy then, but I'm a true believer. I'm sure we'll get into it, but Harvey Oaxaca, who's on the board,
yes,
is one of the people that changed my life. And so I learned from him the importance of public education. I'm a proponent of it. I will always be a proponent of it, and I am thankful for what McKinney ISD has done in my life, and that is why I want my children here. I've had the opportunity to go other places, seek employment opportunities, and I choose to stay in McKinney.
So the whole time. So aside from college, did you ever pick residence outside of McKinney?
So I left for college August of 2003. I went to a small undergrad school in Abilene, Texas, McMurray University. And I went to McMurray August of 2003. I graduated a semester early in December of 2006. And the reason I graduated early is because I was awarded a fellowship at the Texas Senate. It's called the Gregory Luna Scholars and Fellows Program. I did that program from January 2007 until May. And it's essentially you get an internship with the senator, you work with bills, you work with the staff. It's a long story about how the program started, but it's really great. It's still going on right now. So I lived in Austin for those 6 months. I came back after that session was over and started prepping for the LSAT. During the time that I was in that program, I was working for State Senator Leticia Van de Putte, who at the time was the chair of the Democratic caucus on the Senate side. So we had a Democratic advisor to the party, and he and I became really good friends. He passed away a few years ago, but Harold Cook, one of the greatest guys I've ever met. He and I became really good friends. Halfway through the summer of 2007, he gives me a call and he says, there's a person who needs some help on the campaign. I know you don't have a job, which I didn't. Are you interested in doing it? And this was 2008, which Barack Obama was running, and all that stuff was going on. I said, I'll do it. I knew I wanted to go to law school, but this was an opportunity I couldn't give up. So he didn't tell me who it was. He just said, okay, meet me in Austin on this day. We're going to interview you in downtown Austin. Got my truck and went down there. Showed up to the offices of a longtime political strategist down there. And it was Senator Zaffirini, Judy Zaffirini from Laredo, who needed a campaign coordinator. And so if you know Senator Zaffirini, you know about Senator Zaffirini. She's the dean of the Senate now, but she has a reputation of being the hardest working senator. And I knew that. So one of my colleagues, while I was doing the internship with Senator Van de Putte, we had another one that did Senator Saliger, and one of my buddies was with Senator Zaffarini's office. And we just knew that he had to be at the office at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and was there till 6 o'clock at night.
Oh, goodness.
And I wonder, and I never asked Harold this, but I wonder now if that's why he never told me who it was.
No.
And he just said, just show up in Austin.
Because you'd have been like, no.
Let me think about this.
Right.
So I went to the interview, and the most intimidating interview of my life. It's a long 30-person table probably. I'm in one end. They're all at the other end, grilling me.
Like going for your PhD.
Yeah, it's like, exactly. It's like a dissertation. And I'm like, I just want a job. So she offers me a job, and at that point, I'd already paid for my LSAT prep, and my LSAT was in 2 weeks. And she wanted me to go right away, and then I said, "Can I please just? Yes, I want the job. This is an amazing opportunity, but I would want to take this LSAT. I'm already ready for it." She said, "Fine." Gave me a little bit of time to find an apartment. So I did my LSAT and literally left the next day. Packed up my truck. Never been to Laredo before. By this time, I'll track back a little bit. By this time, so I was granted my legal permanent residency when I was 18 years old. So I'd been a legal permanent resident this time for 2 or 3 years. And Laredo's on the other side of the checkpoint. I'd been to Mexico once since I'd gotten my green card. I'd never been out of 35, the corridor 35.
Sure.
I was going to, so I was going to live in Laredo, and I was terrified. Right? But I'm sitting there driving. I'm going through. I'm in Austin or something like that, getting closer, and I'm like, what am I doing? So I finally make it to Laredo. I lived in Laredo. It was supposed to be this was October of 2007. So it was supposed to be just through the primary election because South Texas is really no Republican opponent. So she had a Democrat that was running against her in the primary. So I went and worked with her, and she won. She hadn't lost an election since '87. So one of her opponents in the primary though flipped last minute and became a general election opponent. And so she asked me to stay throughout the general election, which I did. I mean, we joined efforts, the Obama team. At that point, Rick Noriega was running for Senate. So it just became a really incredible experience. I ended up being in Laredo for a little over a year. Then finally moved back after that 2008 election, back to McKinney, ready to get back to law school. And about a month later, I get a call from her chief of staff, and he says, Senator Zaffirini wants you to come work with her in the legislature now. So I'm like, I have a group of advisors, like my dad, my wife, people that I'm like, what do I do? And everybody's like, go for it, So I did the 2009 session at the Texas legislature with her. I was a clerk to committee. She chaired. I did the 2011 session, and then I started law school in August of 2011 in Austin. So I technically was away from McKinney from 2003 until 2014 when I came back after law school. My wife lived here. I bought my first house here in 2011 while I was living over there. My family's never left. I mean, my brothers went off to college, but they all came back. So we're all here.
Yeah. No, that's great. So it sounds like you had a pretty intense post-collegiate years there. And so, but you always knew that McKinney was the place.
I always knew. My dad jokes that when we were coming to McKinney, we were supposed to stop in Oak Cliff, and that was because we had a lot of family in Oak Cliff. And he says, "I missed the exit." So we ended up in McKinney.
Yeah, I don't know. The Oak Cliff versus McKinney. It's
different.
That's a long time to sit. I can't do a U-turn somewhere.
And so I growing up here, we saw it grow.
Mm-hmm.
My dad had lived here in the past before we came. We saw it from 35,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I don't remember. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Glen Oaks is probably, there may have been Slaughter on the other side of 75,
mm-hmm.
but there was no schools over here.
Mm-hmm.
We used to go to church at St. Paul in Frisco, and we used to take El Dorado, and it was like farmland.
Yes.
Everywhere, so when I was old enough and had lived away from McKinney for a few years, my wife and I met here in McKinney when we were in middle school.
You've known her since middle school.
We're 40 years old. I tell her, I think we've been together longer now than half of our life.
That's right.
So, long story, but yeah.
And so you knew her in middle school.
She was my girlfriend.
Get
in 6th
out!
grade.
No way.
So we met in 6th grade at Dow Middle School. She was my girlfriend, and her mom, they were going through immigration process as well.
Uh-huh.
So her mom had to leave
mm-hmm.
for the pardon or whatnot. She's from Chihuahua.
Mm-hmm.
So she went to Chihuahua, came back. And then when she came back, she came back to McKinney or Louisville, but she was going to a private school. But she has a big family here. So I would be friends with her cousins because I grew up with her cousins. So I'd see her at parties or I'd see her at family gatherings. And I always remembered Monica. And it was Monica, my girlfriend. And then finally, the summer before our senior year, we reconnected. And I was
mm-hmm.
like, this is my shot. I got to do it now or she's going to go off to college. And so I went off to Abilene and she went off to school here in Dallas at DBU, Dallas Baptist
mm-hmm.
University.
Yes.
So I locked it in then, man. And we've been dating since.
Oh, that is crazy.
We've been together. We'll celebrate our 15th year of marriage in July, but we dated for 8 years prior to that. All through undergrad, all through me and Laredo, me and Austin.
Mm-hmm.
She was my.
So we can say that true love can be found in McKinney.
Oh my gosh!
We're going to turn this into the McKinney Podcast dating website.
Here's funny: my brother and his wife had been dating
mm-hmm.
since they were in 5th grade, 4th or 5th grade.
Really?
Now they're married.
Yeah,
now they've got 2 kids.
Sure,
but yeah, since they were 4th or 5th grade, Chewy and Julie.
Oh, that is great. I'm down for a great love story, especially that starts in middle school when middle school. When that's basically the do you like me, check yes or no.
That's exactly what it was. It was the sit in the back of the bus. I mean, this is when we started dating in 2003. I didn't have a cell phone yet. That was barely coming out. I didn't have any money. I was about to go to college. So the first few months when I was calling her from Abilene, I'd call her from my dorm room because I had a landline, but it was expensive. So I'd buy those calling cards.
That's right.
Just call her with a calling card.
That's right. And then you'd hear that.
She was a little bit better off than me. She had a cell phone, so it wasn't as easy.
Oh, so you were a smart man, though. He's like, oh, man, she's
got 3 minutes.
That's right.
Yeah. So, but we'd have to time it right. And she'd call me or I'd call her and say, all right, now you call me because incoming calls were cheaper.
That's right.
So she'd call me and we'd sit on the phone. Yeah. But
man.
We got engaged. We got engaged 2010, Memorial Day. Memorial Weekend 2010. We got married August 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And we got married July 2011. We got married, and I started law school in August 20. So a month later, but she was doing so well with her company that she's still with. She works for Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
That it didn't make any sense for her to move to Austin, just pick up and go. So the first 3 years of our marriage, I lived in Austin while I was in law school. And she lived here. Mm-hmm. We saw each other every weekend. Except for one weekend around that time, there was a real bad snowstorm or something like that. That it was just not safe. But every other weekend, either she came or I went. And it was cool. I tell people for the first 3 years, we never fought. We didn't have any time.
That's right. No time to fight.
Yeah, it's 48 hours. We could see each other 48 hours, and we just enjoyed it. And beautiful Austin and beautiful McKinney, and it was fun. So
man,
right after graduation, I came back here. That was another about choosing McKinney, right? So. I initially, when I applied to law school, I applied to SMU, I applied to UT, and I applied to University of Houston.
Mm-hmm.
SMU waitlisted me, and that's where I wanted to go because I also wanted to work, and SMU at the time had an evening school.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have been perfect. My wife was obviously, she's making really good money for the time, and I was going to be able to go to school and have a little job to kind of help. But then UT came calling, and I'm like, yeah, I can't turn this down.
Yeah.
So, we prayed about it, talked about it, just kind of one of those decisions. What do we do? What do we do? And we went to an orientation at UT that was for couples. And they're like, look, first couple of years, you're not going to see your spouse because it's school. And it was true. Like I woke up at 6 a.m. I was at school by 7 o'clock in the morning. I either did class or library or study. It was just, I'd be home by 10 o'clock. If I'm at home, I'm studying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was miserable for the first 2 years in law school. And so I wonder, like, if she'd gone and been felt neglected, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
So, but it was great. I'd check in with her in the morning. Hey, they haven't go to school or going out for lunch, call me, whatever, say goodnight, see each other on the weekends, enjoy it, have a blast. I'd make sure I finish all my work so I could have at least 24 hours free of nothing to do. And yeah, and when I started looking for work after law school, while I was in law school, I did a clinic. It's like it's a class in law school, but you partner with an organization that is a nonprofit. It was Equal Justice Center, which is a great organization. And I did that at my second semester in law school, and I loved it. We represented low-wage workers, immigrant workers. That's always been my passion is kind of giving back to my community, my immigrant community. And I did that, and whenever we're getting ready to start, I was going to come up. I'd interned here at the DA's office. I wanted to come back here. Mm-hmm. But I remember having a conversation with her one of those late nights at the law school. I'm like, I wish there was a job that would just call me, just kid you not. And she will attest to this. That evening, we got a school-wide email that says, Bill Beardahl, who's the director of the organization, is looking for an attorney to go to Dallas to open the Dallas office of the Equal Justice Center. And exactly what he listed is exactly what my wife and I were talking about. So I applied. It was a whole ordeal because it's a nonprofit organization, so we had to get funding and all that. But it was a good 6-month application process, and they gave me the opportunity, and I came up here, and I was with EJC for 2.5 years, and absolutely loved it. Great. They're still around. Great group.
Man. And so just out of curiosity, for those years that you were between Austin and McKinney, when you're in McKinney, what was your favorite thing to do? So that people, people who from around, who move here, they have no idea what is there to do in McKinney. So what did you guys do?
I have a big family. My wife has a big family. We have a party every weekend. Somebody has a party. It's a long party. But I think aside from that, I have all my friends here. Downtown McKinney, our first house we bought was in downtown McKinney. We love just walking around the square. Town Lake was always a blast for us. The volleyball courts got intense every now and then. But for the most part, I think it was just being with family, and I think, everybody in my family feels the same way, that this is home. And so we're not going anywhere. And anytime we're here, there's something to do. Now my kids are, Little League baseball. They play soccer. My daughter does ballet and she does gymnastics. So everything is here that we need. We love football games, love soccer games, love things like that. So anything that I can get involved with in that term.
Excellent. Yeah. So your kids are involved in everything, and McKinney has everything to offer. Everything. Is it your goal as the one carrying the torch basically for McKinney, that your children, regardless of what they do, that they come back to McKinney?
I think I'm hopeful that that's going to happen naturally and organically for them. My parents' greatest goal for me was to accomplish more than they did. And unfortunately, in Mexico, in the rural area like Guanajuato, education is not a real thing. I mean, my dad has a 3rd grade education. My mom has a 5th grade education. So to my parents, it was, I want a high school diploma. That's what I expect. That's the expectation. After that, they didn't know what college was. They had no idea what it was. That's kind of where the Oaxacans come in and whatnot. for me, it's I want my child to do more than what I did.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I credit a lot of what I've accomplished to what made me, which is McKinney.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that they feel the same way and say, this is where I feel like home.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I've had opportunities to work in Austin. I went to law school in Austin. I made connections in Austin, in the political world, in the government, whatever. In D.C., you know, people that I've met that have offered me positions in D.C. or opportunities, or at least, you know, to explore opportunities. I love D.C. We go there regularly, once a year. It's not home. You know, it's not McKinney. I was a prosecutor in Dallas. I was in the Dallas County DA's office for 2 years. Lived in McKinney while I did that. Hated the traffic. Yeah. Did not want to go get an apartment or get a house in Dallas because that's just not home. So
you just commuted during that time?
Oh yeah, for almost 2 years. Yeah, and I had a newborn, right? And it was terrible. My son had just been born. I'd leave the house 6 a.m. and you know, I'd be at the office by 8, but I didn't like to risk it. So I was there early. I'd get home by 6 o'clock. You know, you know, my wife felt the same way, and you know, we'd sit there and be like, what if we just moved to Richardson? You know, or
a little bit closer.
A little bit closer. And then we'd go see houses, we'd go see condos, and then we'd look at each other and be like, that's not home.
Yeah,
that's not home. We moved to Princeton briefly in 2020. We bought a house in Princeton.
Oh, so you did dip your toes in the other waters.
But it was a great real estate opportunity for us.
Sure.
That we jumped in and kind of glad we did right before COVID when we signed our lease. And it was a new building. We kind of excited about it. But then came back right away. And we live in McKinney. We have a McKinney address, but we live kind of in the outskirts of McKinney, but it's still McKinney. But we're in downtown every weekend.
Yeah.
Farmers Market is our jam.
There you go.
Breslin, all those areas.
That's too funny. So, okay, so you know you kind of said where you live. I won't go into the topic of the airport because there's plenty of that, and you know we want to keep this about you and the firm. But you know, anytime anyone mentions that they live over there, I'm always like, so what's your take on the airport? But that raises, well, as you know, that raises a whole
lot of different,
a whole other thing. And you know, I say it every time that we have anything that might be the least bit political, that you know, the McKinney Podcast, we're here celebrating what makes us unique by nature. And, you know, everybody's allowed to have their opinion and everybody's allowed to cast their vote. And, you know, you got to make the decision what you feel is best for you, for your community, and for the future. And whatever that is, you are absolutely right. It's not our position to sway anybody in any direction. However, when it comes to swaying decisions in a certain direction, Texas defense firm, you gave us, you know, a quick little blurb on, you know, who you are and what you do. Why, like, so first off, who needs your services?
Sure. Well, I'll tell you kind of how I got to Texas Defense Firm. I left the DA's office, opened my own firm here in McKinney, and I'd not met Jeremy before. Jeremy Rosenthal, you know, you do the announcement, I'm leaving the DA's and starting this new journey on my own, blah, blah. Jeremy was the first person to reach out to me on Facebook. Let's have lunch, whatever. A few years passed. I reached out to him about a couple cases, and we worked together. Me on my own firm, him at his firm. One day, he invited me and Bo, Calabos and Calatari, and we all went to lunch, and then they jumped me on. We do only criminal defense. That's all we do.
Okay.
Within criminal defense, there are many different levels. Right? There are many different types of practice. There's appellate practice. There's, you know, state practice. There's federal practice. We do everything from a Class C violation, some Class C violation,
which would be
the more common is when we get assault by contact, public intoxication, things that are, you know, carry with it a little bit more consequences than just a fine. Right? So Class C's are punishable by up to a $500 fine. But, you know, Class C theft, that's a theft case. Right? It's not like a speeding ticket. Right? Even though the same level, it comes with different consequences, different connotations. All the way through capital murder, you know, we do federal conspiracy cases. Who needs us? So everybody has I'm a true believer of this. There's an attorney, Brian Stevenson, who has a great story. There's a movie named after him, or made about his life. When I was at the EJC, he spoke to us, but he says, we are all, and I'm quoting this, and probably not exactly, but we are all greater than we are all more than our greatest mistake.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
So good people make mistakes.
Yes.
Those are the type of people that need us.
Mm-hmm.
Young people make mistakes. People who suffer from addiction make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
People who suffer from mental health make mistakes. People who just continue to make mistakes make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, oftentimes I get the question of how can you represent somebody who's committed a crime? And we get, you know, my response, and sometimes they're really bad crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let's not sugarcoat it. Sometimes it's really heinous things. And we have to remove ourselves, you know, I'll speak for myself, you know, I have to remove myself and say, okay, there's not a defense to the crime,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's a process that we enjoy in this country, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We're all innocent until proven guilty.
Correct.
Right? And it's the government's burden to prove guilt,
Mm-hmm.
okay? My job is to ensure that I hold the government to their burden,
Yes.
okay? And if the government is successful and proves beyond a reasonable doubt that my client is guilty, then my client will be punished.
Mm-hmm.
There's another saying, one innocent person in jail is worse than 100 guilty people,
Mm-hmm.
free. And I think whenever you've been charged with a crime, whenever you're being investigated for a crime, that is the worst you can ever feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the people that we're here to help. And
Mm-hmm.
look, I represent people that I know that have known for years to be great people that just made a mistake,
Mm-hmm.
in a moment of misjudgment, and I think that's one of the big things that sets us apart is that we all really believe that.
Mm-hmm.
At Texas Defense Firm. We all really take the time to learn our clients, know who they are, know that they are more. Their parents, their brothers, they're somebody's uncle, they're somebody's
Mm-hmm.
best friend,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think keeping that in mind is something that we all are committed to do,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think that's what helps us do that.
So when people find themselves in a situation that requires, legal counsel and representation, they're going to flip open. Actually, they're not going to do it. It's like they're flip open the yellow pages,
Yeah,
but nobody has the yellow pages anymore.
That's what I did when I was dating my wife. I found her phone number.
Right. So people are going to have a choice,
Mm-hmm.
and let's face it, attorneys, lawyers don't necessarily carry the most cherished thoughts around them. A lot of people, of course, I don't want to disparage anybody, but there are people that care about. I mean, even dentists, right? Dentists, they passionately care about what they do, but anytime someone says, I need a dentist, there's always all those other things.
Yeah.
How do you personally deal with that? Because I've known dentists who ran from that profession because it carried such a stigma, and some of them, especially the pediatric ones. Now, I don't know any pediatric dentists, but a lot of them I've heard, because it's always associated with, drilling, pain, whatever, that it was such a grind on them that they're like, I've got to get out of this. And they went and did something else.
Yeah.
How do you cope with that?
I'll tell you this.
Or do you even feel like anyone has negative views upon you?
Well, I'll tell you, personally speaking, I've practiced in 3 different areas of law in my coming on 12 years of practice now. The first one was nonprofit when I was with the Equal Justice Center. And at that point, you were a hero because we represented the underserved.
Mm-hmm.
We represented the abused, the neglected, the immigrant. So I remember I did we had a big case. We did a story in the news, and they covered our story. A couple of newspapers interviewed me, a couple of magazines. And it was easy to say, look, I represent the person that was taken advantage of at work, that was sexually assaulted at work. I represent the person who's been working for 10 years and not being paid properly. Like, that was easy. I love that. Right? And there were people who were like, oh, you're going after businesses. When I'm like, sure, bad businesses, right? I was the people's lawyer. I was a good lawyer. And then I went to the DA's office, right, to the district attorney's office.
Here in Collin?
Dallas County.
Oh, Dallas. Okay. All right.
Weird way how I got there, but I started there in January of 2017. And there you wear the white hat, right? You're the prosecutor. You're putting the bad people in jail, blah, blah, blah. But then you have the community of the defense attorneys, and you have the community of people who have either have a family member that's been wrongfully charged, wrongfully convicted, things like that are like, you're the one putting people in jail. You don't even care if it's right or wrong. Your goal is to put them in jail. So that comes with a stigma. And when I left the DA's office, I knew that going into defense work was going to carry something. So even more probably stronger stigma against what we do, especially when you work on cases that are very difficult. Subject matter is just sexual assault and murder and things like that. But I always told myself that I take my role as a counselor very seriously. Some counselors as attorneys, and I try to come across to my community as somebody who does what I do because I care about my community, right? Somebody who does what I do because I care about this country, because I care about its founding principles. Right? Yes, when you hear attorney, you think somebody who just wants money, who wants it.
Ambulance chaser.
Yeah, exactly. and the truth is, I mean, and there are good lawyers and there are bad lawyers. There are lawyers who give our profession a bad name. I mean, there are very unethical people that do things that really gives. But I think our strongest tool is our clients. I get so many people who come to me because of somebody that I've helped. I get people that come to me because they say, you were honest with so-and-so and you told them it's going to be this bad. And even, there are times where I tell my client, it doesn't matter how much money you give me. It's not going to change it. Like this is kind of what it looks like. And so I feel like I become that counselor, that friend, that guide through a process that most people are like, I don't know what the heck is next. And so that's the way I like to to do it now. And I tell people sometimes you're not going to like what I tell you. You're going to have options, but some of the options might not be great. It might be really bad or really, really bad. But I'm going to be honest with you, and that's, I think, what you want me to do. And, instead of sugarcoating stuff.
Oh man, that's gotta be tough where someone comes to you saying, I need out of this pinch and you're telling them that you're going to get pinched.
Yeah. My job is to loosen the grip on that pinch as much as I can. But there's situations where it's going to get tough. And I mean, look, for the most part, we handle a lot of, theft cases, a lot of drug and while intoxicated cases. But there are some that are we have cases where our clients are looking at decades in prison, life in prison, things like that.
So in general, I know my belief is that McKinney is a very safe community, and that for the most part, our constituency are law-abiding citizens. But the truth of the matter is that there are still some situations that occur, and they need to know. I love what you said. We're not the sum of our worst moments and decisions. I had a friend who was pretty high up in the sheriff's department back in Tampa, and he told me, he looked at me dead in the eye. He was like, "Fred, you are one moment away from stupid." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "At any given time in your life, there's always a decision to be made, and you are one moment away from making the wrong decision. And as he confessed to me, he's like, listen, he said, my position with the Hillsborough County Sheriffs, he said, I'm still one moment away from making a stupid decision, and it could be minor, it could be career ending, it could be life ending. He said, just, you don't know the level of stupid that you're capable of until you've done it. But that's where people need to come and connect with Texas defense firm.
With us.
All right.
And it's true, it's like we're all human, and we all live different lives. Some of us live very stressful lives. Some of us, things outside of our control happen that we're not prepared to we're not machines. We don't just do algorithms and say, okay, I'm going to react this way to this. I'm going to react this way to that. We're human, and I think, if you get somebody in full confidence, most people would say, I've probably done something that if I would have been caught, I would, I'd have been in trouble, But I think again, it's what people think, and I've had friends tell me this, when I think of a lawyer, I know I immediately think trouble, and that's not true. I think what we help people understand is that any possible thing that we can do to kind of get you back on track or to make this just but a speed bump in your otherwise wonderful professional career, whatever, we can do that, and we will do that. I've represented, people with young kids that are terrified about their reputation, people with young kids who made a mistake that are probably, looking at prison time or something like that, who otherwise have been excellent, and so, yeah, our job is instead, other than just, going in there and getting the Texas code and being like, well, according to section, blah, 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 no, it's more, it's, look, let's get through this, let's get to this, figure out why, is there substance abuse? Is there maybe a mental health issue? Is there a defense to this? Is there something that we can say, look, this is kind of why it happened. But I think in order to be able to do that, you really actually have to care about, number one, your clients, and you have to care about what you do, right? Like I love being a lawyer, because I know that I can impact people's lives, and there are some cases that are really tough, and there are some cases that I have to kind of just take a deep breath and look at it every now and then and think about it in different ways. But at the end of the day, I care about what I do, and even if it's not the best situation for my client, it's still something that I really do with a lot of heart.
Okay. All right. So we've got moments left here, but I just realized I wanted to ask a question. So when you were growing up, did you ever do things that, you're like, okay, this is not the best idea, I could get in trouble? Were you ever that kid?
So I'll tell you this. I grew up, again, undocumented, right? So most of my friends were born here. I played soccer for a legendary coach here, Alan Pocock. If I messed up, if I didn't get good grades, if I got in trouble, I wasn't going to play soccer. And soccer was my life. So I stayed out of trouble as much as I could for that reason. Now, can I sit here and tell you I never did anything no, man, I was 16, I was, and it was a small town, right?
Sure. So
we still had field parties in Princeton. We had, and my parents, I tell people to this day, my parents were very, I'm the oldest of 5. So my mom had me at 19. My mom was 18. My mom was 19. My mom was 18. My dad was 19. So they were very young. They had 5 kids pretty quickly. They worked a lot, so I had a lot of freedom. Yeah, there were some things that, I'm not going to get into a lot of details. I probably,
because your kids are going to tune in. They'll be like, Dad, what's he talking about?
Well, but now you start thinking about now. It's like, I tell my son, like, dude, I've already been there. He's 8, so he's not into a lot of stuff yet. But I'm like, whenever you start driving, I know what this. Oh, I'm running a little late. There's traffic. I know what that means, brother. So, but yeah, McKinney, back then, this is 23 years ago. 25 years ago, to give it when I started driving. I mean, it wasn't, there was, we almost knew everybody sort of. I mean, like I knew everybody at McKinney High. We're all in one high school. So if I didn't know you personally, like the person, the ones that just left, like I went to high school with their daughter. Like, I still run into people that I'm like, we went to high school together. You remember that one party that we had to jump over that fence? Yeah, I remember that. Stuff like that. I mean, I have buddies that will sit. I mean, I grew up with two best friends, and we still sit and every now and then and we'll drink a beer and we'll think like, God, we're so stupid. And now we all got kids, and I'm like, God.
I would say, were it not for the grace of God, there would I be.
Exactly.
But the real question is, were you more afraid of getting caught by the law or getting caught by the chancla?
So the chancla was real. It is real. But again, my parents I tell people in my house, this is going to sound bad. There was an abundance of love, not so much discipline. My parents were really young. So my parents, they were raised in Mexico. They had to assimilate here. To them, it was, I don't want to see the police in my front yard. I need to see passing grades, and I don't want any truancy tickets. 2 out of 3 of those, and you're good. And after that, it was like, just stay out of trouble and do good in school. And that was so, but yeah, I'll tell you what, being from a Mexican household, like there were things we didn't do. You did not raise your voice at my mother. And if you did, woof. And my dad is the most calmest guy you'll ever meet. I don't know why we feared him, because he never like rose his voice at us. Like but we were all terrified of him. And he never, we never got spankings or anything. But he was still, it's just out of respect.
Sure, absolutely.
And my mom, she's a sweetheart. They're great people.
I'm looking like, okay, I know we started just a little bit behind, but we have tapped out our allotted time here. And I just want to thank you for, coming on to the show and just sharing, more about you, because, truly our podcast is about what makes us unique. And you said it earlier, everything that we need is here in McKinney. And whether it's, you're looking for your mechanic, your hairstylist, your photographer, your commercial insurance agent, or, you're looking for, the best in legal representation. We just want people to know that people like Gonzalo Serrano are here with the Texas defense firm. And this has been another edition of the McKinney Podcast. Thank you for tuning in.
Thanks again for listening to and watching the McKinney Podcast. We drop a brand new episode every Monday morning. We'd love to connect with you and hear your thoughts, suggestions, and guest recommendations. You can message us on Facebook or send an email to us at mail@mckinneypodcast.com. This entire production is a passion project for James and Fred and our lovely wives, Elizabeth and Allison. We're so grateful to have you along for the journey. We look forward to seeing you again next week and hopefully in person around town. That's all for now, ladies and gentlemen. Make it a great day.